Hello once more humans, I'm Roman and welcome to a new video. I've been gone for a while, but yeah, that doesn't matter. Um, since we talk about mostly comics and TV series and all of that stuff, today I want to talk about a topic that has been coming up a lot on my YouTube feed and honestly a topic that has been popping up ever since a certain movie was leaked. And today we're going to be talking about Avatar. No, not the blue cats, the actual Avatar. So, with that out of the way, let's begin. As always, if you like this sort of content, please like, subscribe, and share it with friends, and comment down below on what you would like to see next. Also, if you are an Avatar fan, please let me know what you think of this video, your opinions, and all of that stuff. Now, with that out of the way, let's begin. In the rare case that you don't know what Avatar I'm referring to, basically it was a Nickelodeon show that was out in the golden age of cartoons, which was the 2000s. This one was out in 2005. Um, it follows the story of Aang, an air nomad that was chosen to be the Avatar. Basically, the strongest warrior that can handle all four elements and who was supposed to keep the balance. Aang ran away and came back and stopped the war and all of that stuff. But you should go watch the series if you would like to know more details. Um, there's the sequel of this series, which is called Legend of Korra, that sort of follows the same concept. Korra was born to be the new avatar, having Aang as her past life. And she has the same job, same responsibilities, but different approach. And also different reviews, which is what we'll be talking about today. So, before I begin, there are going to be spoilers for Legend of Korra and Avatar Last Airbender. So, this is your warning. There will be spoilers. If you are still here, then let's begin with the differences. First things first, the main difference of Avatar Aang and Avatar Korra, it's not the gender, and it's not their skin tone either. Their main difference is the times that they're in. Avatar Aang was put in a time of war, and Avatar Korra was put in a time of peace. Avatar Aang had to adapt to the environment he was in, which is constant battle. And Korra had to, well, not do anything, just keep the thing that is going. Another main difference is their personality. Avatar Aang is an air nomad, people who are known to be openly pacifists and overall just chill people. While Korra, unlike her other people of the water tribe, she is much of a hothead. She does not think at all of her actions, and she's very, very prideful. And that pride has led her to do many, 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 many mistakes that ended up ruining the era of peace she lived in. I'm not even kidding, this is just confirmed. But yeah, the main overall difference is their personalities and how they handle situations and the times that they're in. Now that we covered the overall differences, or at least slightly, let's go in depth at what sets Avatar Aang and Korra apart. So Aang at first didn't want the responsibility of being the Avatar, as he was already under a lot of pressure due to being an air nomad who was already an airbending master at the age of 12. Um, Once he found out, he ran away, which was probably the best decision, as if he had not, he would have gotten killed. And after that, the war got worse and it became this oppressing empire that ruled over other benders and over every other nation. However, in the case of Korra, being the Avatar is her only trait. Literally, when we see her, the only thing she says is, "I'm the Avatar, deal with it." Every damn second of every episode, she hides behind the title of being the Avatar. The thing that makes Aang so likable is that he starts off humble, naive, and a pacifist overall who doesn't want to harm people. And he shows that with his martial arts. Airbending focuses on deflecting and using the opponent's power against them. In the case of Korra, she starts cocky in the beginning, stays cocky in the middle of the show, and ends up being cocky. Avatar Aang was, as I said, naive and always saw the good side of everything and everyone, and he slowly got molded into accepting and becoming the Avatar. And he mentally prepares to make the tough choices. Some people like to say that Korra had it harder because, first off, she was a woman, which I really find misogynistic. Um, Secondly, because she had quote unquote tougher opponents. Let's see, Zahir, an airbender who could fly. That's about it. Amon, who was a bloodbender. The Avatar already dealt with two bloodbenders. Um, let's see who else. Kuvira, who is an earthbender and way weaker than Toph. And Aang defeated Toph on his first encounter. Um, let's see who else. Damn. Just people like to say that Korra had it harder because her opponents were tougher. No, her opponents were not tougher. She was just a dumbass. I remember in one episode where she was poisoned with mercury, which apparently kind of just kills the whole Avatar thing, and obviously it's killing her, but it kind of just disconnects her from like the Avatar state or something. And I remember her entire team saying, "Sit down, we got this." That is one of the main differences between Avatar Last Airbender and Legend of Korra. With Legend of Korra, people can fight for themselves. Like, this society has peace because people can defend themselves. The thing is, with Avatar Last Airbender, everything relied on Aang because the Fire Nation killed every other bender that could pose a threat to them. So people like to compare teams and say, "Oh, but Bolin has lava bending," which okay. Um, but let's break it down. Bolin is not stronger than Toph. We know this. Toph is literally the greatest earthbender that ever lived, stated by herself, and nobody has claimed that title. Um, Mako, he's not beating Zuko or anyone. Katara would whoop everybody's ass. She already knows bloodbending, is a master waterbender, and probably one of the best, if not the best, waterbender of all time. And hell, I think Momo would solo the entire Korra team. And he's a lemur. The thing is that the entire team seems incompetent due to Korra being incompetent. As I stated previously, the time and the eras that they were in definitely had an influencing factor in their fighting styles, their decision making, and as a writer's perspective, with a writer's perspective, in a development type of way. Um, when Avatar Aang was faced in a situation, the first thing he did when he started out was use airbending to evade. He could solo mostly anybody. He wasn't beating Ozai with just airbending, but most of the opponents he faced, um, he would just deflect and honestly beat them, or at least knock them down for a bit while he got away. But over time, the more he learns and the more he fights, the more you begin to see Aang use airbending. And right now I'm focusing on airbending because that is a core part of Aang, that he's a pacifist, and airbending just deflects and takes like the opponent's force out of him. Um, he uses airbending in new ways, like for example with Toph, where he used airbending to knock her down. With Zuko, and hell, you even see him when he lost Appa and one of the creatures took Momo. He uses airbending to decapitate it. Like straight up, he just uses air to chop its head off. Now with Korra, it just feels random. Like, look at her fight with Kuvira. She's like, fire, earth, water, random bullshit, go. And you can clearly tell that she has a fighter spirit. She does not have that dog in her. And you constantly see her getting down, knocked down, like beaten, taking belt to ass, and it's it's to a point where it gives the Avatar a really bad name. Because you see Aang the second he wakes up, he's whooping ass. He's beating everybody just with one bending style, right? This kid is 12 years old. Yeah, he was locked down in ice for 100 years, but he's still 12. And he is whooping nations. Like the strongest soldiers, the oppressors, the biggest and like the meanest empire at the time, the firebenders, who had no problem killing all other benders. And he's whooping them solo. And not in the Avatar state, not with other bending styles. He just woke up and he's already beating them all. Korra had 16 years to train, okay, to perfect every single bending style with the best teachers, and she can't beat a single one. Honestly, that's what makes Korra so pathetic. Honestly, it's so pathetic. All right, to conclude this video, because if we're honest, if we're going to talk about Korra's flaws and why people don't like her, um, we could be here all day long and the video would be like 3 days long, and we don't want that. So let's get into the development. With Aang, at first, as I said uh, previously, Aang was very naive. He believed in the good of everyone, and he didn't want to fight. He was scared of making the tough decision of killing Osai, um, even though he had to, because, well, that was part of his duty. Um, on top of that, he had the burden of being the Avatar, something he didn't want. He was already a master when he was only 12, and the second he hears he's the Avatar, he just runs away. So it's kind of like facing his responsibility as the Avatar. Um, and he still has that mind of a child. However, you see him progress into becoming this guide, this all powerful being that can balance the universe, or like at least the planet, and stop the war, the oppression, and you trust him because he makes mistakes, but he grows from them. In the case of Korra, she makes mistakes, she doubles down, she says, "Oh, I'm the Avatar, deal with it. I can do what I want because I'm the Avatar." And you see that cocky attitude, and you say at first, okay, well, maybe she gets humbled, maybe she grows during the series. Nope, nope, not at all. When she fights with Amon, cocky attitude, gets her bending removed. Gets it back. She goes through all this depression. Oh, I'm only able to do air bending, which I really hate. And all of this. And then the second she gets her bending back, what does she do? Does she reflect on her actions? Does she reflect on how to become a better avatar? No. All she does is go back to being the same old, I'm the Avatar Korra, you gotta deal with it because I can whoop anybody here. And she doesn't. Again, with the evil Avatar spirit, same thing. She was getting whooped even in the Avatar state. And you see this constant humbling and this constant lesson show up, which she never learns. And it's truly pathetic. And keeping this, right, on the same topic, but a little bit on a different direction, the Avatar state. In Avatar Last Airbender, the Avatar state was this ultimate trump card, which was only used when Avatar Aang was about to die or was in immediate danger and there was no other solution. Right? Avatar Korra, if she's losing a race, she will use the Avatar state. If the line is too long, she will use the Avatar state. If there's no toilet paper, she will use the Avatar state. If the food is taking too long, she will use the Avatar state. And if she's losing a fight, guess what she will do? Losing the Avatar state. Something we never saw any other Avatar do. When Avatar Aang, when Avatar Kyoshi, hell, Kyoshi didn't even need the Avatar state. But whenever we saw Aang, again, 12 years old, when we saw him, no mastery of bending, nothing. He didn't control the Avatar state, right? When we saw him turn into the Avatar state, when that arrow glowed, it was game over. Period. The only time that he lost in the Avatar state was because he got hit from the back, pause. But he got striked from the back by Azula with lightning, which almost killed him. And Avatar Korra, yeah, she lost every single battle she went into the Avatar state. Hell, Kuvira told her, go into the Avatar state. This won't change anything. And she was right.